Wow, wow.
I really like that intro music.
I do
That was
as
a
well.
really, really good one. Good evening, everyone. Hello, and welcome to Divine Disbelief. We are your home for secular news and opinion. I am Susan.
And I am a beleaguered Nebraska football team.
The entirety of the team.
The entire team.
The entire thing. But the Chiefs won today, though,
They
right?
did 34-30 over the now
Lions.
no longer undefeated Detroit Lions
Heyo.
up at Ford Field. Is it still Ford Field? I don't know.
know.
They played in the Motor City and they won. They scored 34 points, even though Patrick Mahomes, for the first time in his career, didn't throw 2 touchdown passes. He actually didn't throw any.
Oh, wow.
They still scored 34 points, so Kansas City won. That was good. They're still undefeated. Apparently, Dallas is playing in St. Louis right now, whatever.
Yeah, I don't know.
I am Nathaniel. It is so great to have all of you here. You know, I'm actually kind of sad that we are doing this. Because Robert Jeffress has been in the news so much lately.
Oh, God, I know.
And I'm like, I just want to talk about this motherfucker. And well, we made I say we made a decision. No, that was kind of like a me thing to do this. And so we're going to get through this tonight. We're going to get through it together.
Are we finishing it out?
Oh yeah, there's like 30 minutes left.
So no.
I don't know. I mean,
Last time it took us over 2 hours to get through like 20 minutes of
It's not my fault that he is that like so much what he said is wrong. But here's the thing. I have not since that point watched past any of that.
So this is fresh for both of us.
Yes, I don't have you saw the notes that I sent you, right? It's like 2 links, I think. I'm pretty certain it's 2 links to something that we're going to be going over in like a millisecond because yeah.
I don't think you sent it to me.
I certainly did.
Did you?
Yes.
Because I haven't gotten the email yet.
Well, that's not my fault. That's Google's fault. See, retrying. You should retry now. I think your internet's messed up. Let me see here.
I don't know what's going on. I mean, my YouTube stream is fine.
Oh, the talking snake.
Oh, snake.
That's messed up, talking snake.
Ouch.
Wow, we are both very bright on that screen. So, yeah, 48-7. I did say that Nebraska would lose by 40. I was wrong. They lost by 41. Doing my math properly. Yes. But Nebraska still hasn't been shut out since 1996 and has not been shut out at home since 1968. So there's some fun stuff for you.
They did not restart that clock.
Nope. That's still an ongoing thing there, folks.
Yep. Get back in the chat room there.
I'm certain that I shared it with you. I'm certain that I did. I put your name in it and everything.
Oh, apparently I had 8 emails that it didn't tell me about, even though I kept refreshing.
I told you. Is it there?
It's here.
It's there. It's not very long.
That's fine.
It's a couple of
Links.
Just a couple of links, and that is it. And we lost a person and all that.
Oh, it was me.
Oh, you left. How dare you?
Yeah, I closed up my browser and restarted it.
Does that mean you're coming back now too?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't say you're coming back. We actually lost somebody. Anyways.
It's cool.
Let's get... Oh, it's fine. I'll take your apple and enjoy it. Let's get into this real quick because this is a lot of fun. Where we ended last week, and I'm pretty certain this is going to pick up right where it ended. Yes.
Nice.
Yes, it is.
Nice.
And it's definitely moved. I need to move it over oh, nope. I've definitely moved the background. I need to move this thing. No, I need to move.
I don't know.
I need to move this. Can I move this? Oh, I can.
Yeah.
Moving that around. Welcome to Nathaniel's production. Right there. There we go. Now I moved it around and it should show up on your screens.
It'll take a second.
The snake. And there's Agatha. Yes, the snake follows college. There we go.
There you go.
I noticed there's a huge black border around that. Is that supposed to be there?
No, because I think you didn't expand it all the way.
Are you sure?
Can you like preview it and then switch it over?
I mean, that just seems like a lot of work. Well, let me see. Let me do this right here.
I don't know what's going on.
Is there any writing down here at all? I'm just gonna. No, it's how big it's supposed to be. Hello, Angelica.
I work with a girl named. I think.
How often does that happen then? No, that's how it's supposed to look apparently.
Is it expanded all the way?
I don't know.
No, but like, isn't
How does it look on YouTube? You're on Twitter.
It looks like that.
Can you see what it says and what it is? Why does it have a black? I don't. Was it like that last week?
No. Well, I mean, it was on that side, but it's not usually like that.
Oh no, that it is, because you see like the little ICR logo. Boop. You see that little ICR logo?
Which I thought you were talking about this.
No.
I've been talking about that.
See, communication is hard, folks.
Because
Nope,
when you talk about little black bars, that's what
Nope, I was
about.
definitely talking about the little video that we're watching.
Oh well.
Yep, there we go.
Yeah.
Welcome to episode 31.
31.
All right. Where we are obviously making strides. Okay, so where we left off last week,
Yes.
This is at minute 31 in this video.
Yes.
So we are, I don't
Halfway
know.
through.
We're cooking with fire because we're going to burn the motherfucker down. By the way, I tweeted at ICR today.
Yes.
So I hope they're watching this. Yeah, and also you, Aiden C. Parks, I hope you watch this too.
I also hope the Twitter troll who was getting after me earlier telling me that I'm an idiot millennial.
You have a Twitter troll?
I do have a Twitter troll right
That's
now.
so
They got
cool.
all pissed off because
What'd you do?
No, it's because I did the secular invocation last week.
Oh.
And American Atheist posted about it, and she was like, "I'm never going to vote for anybody who would allow this to happen again, and I'm going to talk to my church about it." And I said, what did you find so offensive about it? And she's all like, "I wasn't offended." And I'm just like,
This is the definition of offended.
yeah. I was like, okay. And I was like, is there some sort of medication that you're not on that you should have taken?
Babe.
And then she did the ad hominem stuff first, I'm just saying, because she called me an idiot millennial.
Oh, that makes it all better. Go ahead.
And
Asked her about medication. Did she say yes, by the way?
no, she said because all of the millennials are taking all of it. And she said I live in my mom's basement.
Did you call her a boomer?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Everything is forgiven. Okay.
Yeah, because she is a boomer.
She's definitely a boomer. Okay.
She is a boomer.
Yeah, there we go.
Like,
So for those of you that don't know, because we forgot to mention it last week, Susan this past week, Tuesday evening, went here in Arlington, Texas, and gave the invocation of the Arlington City Council meeting, the first secular invocation in the history of Arlington.
yes.
And it went off without a hitch. It was like a minute long.
Yeah.
I made her famous because not only did I record her sexy ass, seriously, you can see her ass, but also I put it on Twitter and I tweeted at him at Meta, and
he wrote an article about it.
yeah, and then him at Meta wrote an article about it, and then some WFAA or something here in DFW wrote an article about it, which apparently went over really well on Facebook.
Yeah, no, it didn't go
And then
over
American
really well.
Atheist tweeted about it, and
Yeah.
yeah, so she got famous and shit. Good for you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
You don't seem like you're
And
actually
Andrew
that-
Seidel tweeted about her. I was
He
like,
tweeted at me.
I'm like, you know what? All I got to do is like record videos and stuff. This is easy. So, and by the way, those of you, if you're offended by boomer, then you're a boomer.
Because they try and use the term millennial like it's some
Yeah.
sort of...
Yeah, so it was really great.
Buzzword.
She did an amazing job, by the way. But all right, let's get into this because this is going to take some time. Where we left off, Dr. Tim Clarey was talking about how this is called, like, the yellow thing that's in the photo right now that he's looking at is called the dinosaur, I don't know, dinosaur like pathway or something like that, and where all the dinosaurs lived, right? Which is below the elevation of the green stuff, which is up not in Alaska. I keep saying Alaska. Earlier today, I was typing something, and instead of typing Canada, I typed Alaska. Yeah,
I mean, I guess I can sort of see how you would make the mistake. but
yeah,
at the
it
same
should
time-
still be theirs.
Yeah.
Anyways, and he said that all the dinosaurs lived basically in the United States, which is why we find all the fossils of dinosaurs here.
Of course.
Which is, of course, you obviously there's the I just mentioned the formation last night and I forget it now.
Ashfall?
No. The formation of the bone formation out in like Montana and stuff. I was just talking about it last night.
I don't know.
I'm gonna remember it later.
Yeah.
It's Morris something formation. I forget. Anyways, and that's why all the dinosaurs are found there. And then up in Canada, where it's green on his map, is what he called higher elevation. Now, mind you, this would have been higher elevation during the Cambrian, when it was known as the Canadian Shield and everything else below it was basically underwater. Sure, absolutely. During the Cretaceous, especially the latest Cretaceous, which, by the way, that just means the latest part of the Cretaceous. No, that's not the case. It's actually not the much higher. And part of that can be seen, of course, because of the inland sea that was there during the Cretaceous period. Actually, there during parts of the Jurassic, but then, of course, definitely during the Cretaceous period. And that inland sea is where we find a lot of dinosaur fossils. The reason for that makes a lot of sense, because there's water, there's sediment, dinosaurs die, they're buried. Rather before they can decay, most of the time before scavengers can get to them. But he said that all the mammals and all the humans didn't live with the dinosaurs, and they lived up in Canada. And then basically they're at higher elevation up in Canada, and that is why all of the dinosaurs are buried below humans. I shit you not. I don't know if we got that far, because I got so upset from what I saw.
Yeah.
Because he used a photo, without giving credit, by the way, from the University of Nebraska State Museum, and that is a photo in the top of his presentation of ashfall fossil beds, and that's ashfall fossil beds in northeast Nebraska, where I am from. These animals that he has a photo of right there, they didn't live in Alaska. They weren't there. So, like, there's no evidence that any of them were in Alaska. Now, there could have been some of them, but these animals lived very specifically in a certain area during, like, the Pleistocene. Like but regardless, he tried to use them by saying all these mammals were up in Canada and they all washed down. And that's why there's no fossils of them up in Canada.
It's so ridiculous.
And yet there are fossils of the rhino species, which was the most the highest population of rhinos in the history of our planet. The same rhinoceros. Well, it's actually you wouldn't recognize it as a rhino today. It's certainly it's an ancestor of modern day rhinos here in the Middle East, in Africa, and then all the way up, following this nice little trackway going into where it would have been connected. And so there's fossils of these things everywhere, except that's not what he said was going to happen.
Oy.
So that is really where we're going to pick up on this. And you and I are going to have fun for the first part of this video, because I gave us both a task to do.
Oh, no.
And it's going to be the same task. Don't worry. No, it's not even written in the notes.
Oh, goody. Okay, so I don't know what's going on.
But it is part of that. Yes. I didn't write it in there, and I didn't tell you what it was, because I wanted it to be a surprise, because it's going to be fun for both of us.
Oh, goody.
Yeah. So let's pick it up here where he's chatting, and let's see what he has to say. If I can just figure this out. There we go. And this is at 31 minutes and 7 seconds, so he might actually say these things before we get there. Anyways, here we go.
Higher elevations. We don't find dinosaurs with camels and horses. Those are all above the dinosaurs, because I believe they were higher elevation and got washed on top of the dinosaurs as it came down. And so it's been stripped right down to the crust. The Bible talks about he wiped them off the earth. He stripped it right down to the crust, where I think the humans and most of our common mammals lived with the humans, like cattle and things. They were stripped right off and deposited all over the earth on top of the dinosaur rocks in many cases. So you kind of have this paleo, ecology, I guess. It's an old idea from Harold Coffin.
All right, so real quick, Harold Coffin was actually a guy. He died in 2015. He's like 85 or 89, or I don't know. He's in the 80s. Years old, and And he actually was actually a reputable scientist, and much like Tim Clarey, he put a lot of stuff in scientific journals, except for his creationist stuff. I hope
That's very close.
I hope everybody is
they're okay.
is okay.
Yeah.
And he actually created this little. This is what it looked like. All these animals. He makes it look like this is super fucking close. By the way. Gonna let these ambulances get past. Quick point of order. Canada, far away.
Yes.
Okay. Even from Nebraska.
Yes.
Canada is a long fucking ways away. Especially for all of the dinosaurs to be buried below every single, mammal of the Pleistocene. Now, it's important to note, there were plenty of mammals around with dinosaurs. Okay, mammals are relatively young, but there are plenty of mammals that lived with dinosaurs, including proto-primates, right, that lived alongside dinosaurs. Now, mostly like shrew type creatures and stuff like that, but certainly lived there. So that doesn't make sense for him to say that the mammals and stuff like that. But he's making it seem very, very much like, oh, I'm talking about... And it's funny that he mentions like horses and camels and stuff like that. Because why would camels live in North America?
Yeah.
Because they don't currently, right?
Yeah.
It's actually kind of funny when he says that. And... but he mentions very specifically that all the dinosaurs lived, basically, if one were to look at this, down in, you can see like where it says like aquatic, like the aquatic creatures and stuff like this down here in the brown and stuff like that. And then now, another point of order right here. We've actually gone into areas where we can see where dinosaurs have been found, and we actually, we find marine shells around them as well. That does happen. Yeah. The reason that happens is because the only dinosaurs that are fossilized, 99% of them, died in or near the water. And that's the way that works. That's why you find these things. But you never find stuff from the Cambrian. You don't find trilobites mixed in with dinosaurs. Right? Not at all. There's not a single one. So you just don't find this stuff. So for him to say that you find dinosaurs mixed in, he calls them like marine critters, right?
Yeah.
For him to find these things, you do. You find the exogyra right there next to a tyrannosaur. Absolutely, because the exogyra lived either in what is like then it was the edge of the Gulf of what is now the Gulf of Mexico, or it was in the interior seaway. And that is where dinosaurs would have been, and they would have died there for sure, absolutely. But for him to say, that the dinosaurs lived in the United States, and the humans lived up there in Canada with the rest of the mammals, is to ignore a few things.
That's just doofy.
This is where you got to click on a link. You got to go to the thing that I... Yeah, let's go to the Prince Creek Formation first. Okay. The Prince Creek Formation, if you're unaware, is up in Alaska. Not only is it in Alaska, it is way the fuck up there. It's in Denali National Park, basically.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It is way up there. It's north of the Arctic Circle. You know what we found there?
What?
Dinosaurs.
Ah.
So, and not only this, so go ahead and scroll down. You'll see like the habitat and stuff like these, like a couple of hadrosaurs there. We are going to go over down here. There you go. We're going to name these dinosaurs.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to read the names of the dinosaurs. Now, we're just going to give the genus, okay?
Okay.
Which is these long words right here on all the way to the left.
Okay.
Right? And, yep. This is now we're gonna get a lot of this shit wrong.
Yes.
All right. So just basically just sound it out the way that we're gonna start with theropods. Theropods, by the way, are the dinosaurs, some of them which turned into birds.
Okay.
They are the carnivorous dinosaurs of usually the Cretaceous. The Prince Creek Formation is Cretaceous. So for the most part, there's a lot of bones there. It's a large bone bed, Lipscomb bone bed, and stuff like that. So we're actually going to read the names of these dinosaurs. All right?
Okay.
Yeah, this is why I didn't tell her about it. All right. Found a Dromaeosaurus.
Oh, I was gonna say Dromaeosaurus.
Yeah, that's fine.
Dromeo.
It's Dromaeosaurus.
Dromaeosaurus.
Yeah. All right, go ahead. Next one.
Why do you do this? The Gripeta?
Sure.
Gripeta?
It's by the way, it's a small bird. It's in Denali Park.
Footprints from a small
Yeah.
bird.
Mine is Nanuxsaurus. Oh, mine are so much easier than yours.
Yeah, why do you do this? Why do you do this to
I
me?
didn't mean to.
Yes, you did.
It's another dromaeosaur. Go ahead.
Sorornitholestes?
Yeah, pretty close.
Sorornitholestes?
Yeah, it's pretty close. Yeah.
What is it actually?
So it is Sorna. So you're right. Sorornitholestes. Yep.
Sorornitholestes.
Yeah, Soro. So basically, it's a dromaeosaur. It's another one. And then Troodon. It's not my fault. All right, now we're going to go to the Ornithischians. The Ornithischians, by the way, would have been. This is actually kind of funny because they are bird-hipped dinosaurs.
Yeah.
You wouldn't. So by the name, you would think that the bird-hipped dinosaurs would have become the birds, right?
But no.
Yeah, they did not. The lizard-hipped dinosaurs are the ones that evolved into birds. Yeah, we're good at science.
Alaskacephaly?
Yeah, good job.
Thank you.
There you go. Pachyrhinosaurus.
Parksosaurus?
Yep. Yeah.
I'm not trying it. That's yours.
Oh, it's Ugruniluk.
Oh, fuck you. Indeterminate.
Yeah.
Got that part right.
Yeah.
Lambeosaurine?
Yeah.
Indeterminate Lambeosaurine?
Yeah.
Or then just indeterminate.
Mammals. There's a mammal there.
That's you.
It's
Unuakamais?
It's a Metatherian, so it is Unuakamus is the proper name there. And
Okay.
there's also some plants there as well.
Shasta saying pronounced Diplodocus. and right, Diplodocus, that's how you say that, right?
Diplodocus.
Diplodocus. Damn it! All the hell! I can never pronounce
Yeah,
anything.
it's Diplodocus.
Okay.
And there's some plants there. You don't have to worry about the plants.
Okay.
But there are a
I don't
ton-
get to do parataxodium? Parataxodium? Is that how you say that?
Paratoxodium. Yeah, pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah. And then
Close.
Halikia and
So we're not
Corexia.
going down this humongous. That's the remainder of it. Is
Yeah,
just
it's
the
plants. And these are, by the way, a lot of flowering plants.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of angiosperms. A lot of trees and stuff like that. Things that shouldn't exist if what he's saying is correct.
Yeah.
Right? And so those are the dinosaurs that we find in the Prince Creek Formation and some of the plants up in Alaska. Now let's do the other one, the other link that I put there.
Enchanted Learning.
Yep. This comes from enchantedlearning.com. And
Oh,
this, by the
that
way,
is like GeoCities barf.
Yeah, it is good times. We are going to name the dinosaurs that are found in Canada.
Okay.
All right, now remember, these Canadian dinosaurs, we're just like this nice little list right here.
The teal list.
Yes, it is teal. Yep. These are the dinosaurs that, by the way, he said didn't exist in Canada. Right. Which is kind of odd because we know that certain ones did there because, like, Edmontosaurus
Yeah.
is...
Albertosaurus.
Yeah, they're named for Edmonton and Alberta.
Yeah.
Then, I mean, if there's not like a Saskatchewanosaurus there, right? Yeah, Albertosaurus is the first one. Ambulocetus is the second one. Amosaurus, Anchiceratops, Anchisaurus. There's that one. You can read the next one. There you go.
Ankylosaurus.
Yeah, Ankylosaurus. Yeah,
Ankylosaurus.
it's that's the armored one with the club tail.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Anodontosaurus.
Yep.
Ano.
Yep. This one's easy. Come on. Yeah, it's what you think it is.
Rhinoceratops.
Yep. And then you have Brachylophosaurus,
Centrosaurus.
Chasmosaurus.
Keniosaurus.
Yep. And then you have
Kairos denotes.
Kairos. It's Kairos denotes. Yeah.
I can't say things.
You're okay. You're okay.
This is why there is a drinking game at my Geeks Who Drink quiz of how poorly can QM Susan pronounce things.
Oh, it's actually kind of nice that we're not doing the Latin names of these. So go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Cyanodon?
Cyanodon, yeah. Columbosaurus.
Is that named after the detective?
I don't think so.
Aw. Corythosaurus?
Yeah, probably named after a person, right? Yeah. And then there is Daspletosaurus. There you go, you got it.
Dromaeosaurus?
That's Dromaeosaurus.
Dromaeosaurus, damn it!
Yeah. I don't fucking know.
Dromaeosaurus?
Yeah, Dromaeosaurus. Yeah. And then Dryoplosaurus. Edmontonia.
Elasmosaurus.
Yep.
Eoceratops.
Yep.
Eucentrosaurus.
Yep.
Euplocephalus.
Yeah, good job.
Gorgosaurus.
Yeah, Gorgosaurus is a fun one.
Gralator.
Yeah. These sound like Terminator, or like names for like Transformers and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. Especially this one.
Gravitholus.
Yeah, Gravitholus. Yeah.
Gravitholus. Hadrosaurus.
Hey.
Hylonomus.
Yeah.
Hypacrosaurus.
Ichthyosaurus.
Ichthyosaurus.
Hey, there you go.
Lambeosaurus.
Yeah.
Lambeosaurus. Laosaurus. Is that named after the country?
I think it's Loasaurus.
Loasaurus.
So, but
Leptoceratops. Macrophalangia.
Yeah, it's
so
different
they
than
had really
micro.
Big fingers?
Huh?
They had really big fingers?
Something to do with their phalanges. We could probably figure that out, but I don't know.
Phalanges.
I don't know the species.
Monoclonius.
Yep.
Ornatotholus.
Yeah.
Ornatotholus.
That's Ornatotholus. You're right.
Ornatotholus.
Yeah.
Ornithomimus.
Yeah. Pachycephalosaurus.
I almost had it. I almost had it. Pachyrhinosaurus.
There you go.
Panaplosaurus.
Yeah.
Parasaurophilus.
Yeah. That's the one with the big.
Yeah.
They go. Meh, yeah.
Some of them I've heard you say them before.
I just say them in conversation. Like,
Yes,
hey,
he
did you guys
does.
know they found a new Parasaurophilus up there?
Yes,
You're like, what?
he does these things.
Yeah.
Parkosaurus, Protoceratops, Plateosaurus, Procyniosaurus.
Yep.
Prosaurophilus.
It's another one of those Saurolophus.
Prosaurophilus.
There you go.
Ricardoestesia.
Yeah, definitely named after a person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Saurophilus.
Yep.
Sororinoth. I do not know.
Sauronathlys.
Okay. Scolosaurus, Segnosaurus, Stegosaurus.
Yeah, which is close to Stegosaurus.
Yeah, so I was all like, that's not the same word.
Yeah.
Struthiomimus.
Yeah.
Styrosaurus.
Styracosaurus. Yeah, so it's much like a Triceratops. It's got huge horns that go out of its frill.
Oh.
Yeah.
Tetrapodite. Tetrapodosaurus.
Yep.
We're gonna say this last way. Thescelosaurus.
Yep.
Thescelosaurus.
Yep.
Torosaurus. Triceratops.
There you go.
Troodon.
Yep.
Tiara.
Once you get this one, you're gonna slap yourself. Once you get this one. Yep. Oh, it is that. Yep.
No, I was doing that on purpose.
Oh. It got me. All right, what is it?
Tyrannosaurus.
Okay, I was like, shit.
I was doing that on purpose.
Did we get any Satan's been really busy hiding all those fake phones.
Those fake phones.
Yeah. So that's like, by the way, and by the way, more than a few of those.
That was more fun for you than it was for me.
Oh, that was a lot of fun. More than a few of those were found, by the way, both in British Columbia and in Nova Scotia. Mm-hmm. Nova Scotia is far east Right? It's in the Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah.
British Columbia is Vancouver. Right? And so you find these all and everything in between. Alberta, British Columbia, Nova Scotia, Saskatchewan. We find this stuff all throughout the continent. And all the way north as well. And you can see it as well as where we find like the hadrosaurs. And some of like, we actually see where some dinosaurs that were omnivorous exist up in the Prince Creek Formation. We find their tracks. You know where we also find their tracks?
Where?
In Mongolia and in Upper China and stuff like that. And so we know that these were connected.
Yeah.
And we also know that these dinosaurs definitely lived there. And this is something that he talks about as well. When we were going over this, he actually talks about how the elevation was different. Is different here. It was lower in the United States than it was in Canada.
Right.
Okay. Well, then go ahead and explain to me Europe. So, did the humans not live in Europe? Because we also find dinosaurs all over fucking Europe.
Right.
You know, we found. I mentioned this last night, right? Neanderthalensis, Neanderthal. It's in the Neander Valley of Germany.
Right. Yeah, because you met the German guy.
Yeah, and he knew about it because Germans will do that. Germans actually have good education. That's why creationism doesn't work in like most parts of Europe.
Yeah.
They have good education. Yeah, fuck us, right? Yeah, and I did, by the way, tag ICR. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, so I hope they're listening at some point. Yeah, that's right. I said hi to Aiden. I forgot.
Yeah, you did.
I wonder if Aiden's ever going to watch this.
Probably not.
It'd be good if he did. And so it's like, so what happened to all these dinosaurs? Did they wash down out of Canada before the humans? Like,
I mean, obviously.
Like, it doesn't make any sense. And not all of them, by the way, are from the Cretaceous. A good many of them are, because this is when, of course, we had the Seaway. This is when we had the best chance for fossilization and stuff like that. But not all these dinosaurs are from the Cretaceous. Neither are all the mammals from the same time either. The mammals that supposedly washed down sometimes thousands of miles, or if you will, kilometers, from Canada to settle down so nicely.
Yeah.
On top of dinosaurs, but right above a boundary of iridium that is a rare earth element, which they cannot explain.
Right.
They tried to explain it though with volcanoes. Except, and by the way, there is a good amount of iridium that is in volcanoes. It's a rare earth, but it comes from the middle of the earth, and it really only exists during volcanic activity, and that would work. We would also expect to see, though, at the same time, if we're talking about a layer of iridium, we would also expect to see other things from a volcano.
Yeah, something
Other
that's
elements,
characteristic of
sulfites, things that come out of like a ton of volcanoes.
Right.
We don't see that.
Right.
And so you have dinosaurs, iridium layer, and then you start to see mammals, like mammals that we see like in the Pleistocene. Again, it's important to note that there were some mammals that were alive during during the Mesozoic, but you cross and get into the Paleogene, and there are no more dinosaurs, right? And you have this iridium layer, and then you have different types of mammals start showing up that filled in this niche. You don't have any more dinosaurs. So this idea that all the dinosaurs lived in a certain area and then humans just didn't live with them.
Yeah,
that doesn't work in Africa. That doesn't work in Australia. That doesn't work in New Zealand.
Right.
Now, mind you, we know where we find most of the dinosaurs. Most of the fossils in the world are found in very specific locales. They are, because those are the areas that are great for fossilization. It's not because a flood happened.
And that's just where they all happen to go.
Yeah.
Right.
There were dinosaurs all over the planet, all the way up to, now mind you, they would not have been, not even if they were that far north, which they wasn't that far north at that time in Alaska, and they may have actually experienced some freezing temperatures. It's possible. Of course, the theropods would have had feathers as well.
Right.
Some of them anyways. And all from north to south. From Alaska all the way down to the tip of South America, and then on every continent we've searched for them, we find dinosaurs. The same types of areas where we're going to find like people, but not only that, where we expect to find certain dinosaurs, we do find them there, and where we expect to find no mammals, there are none. It's not like what happened in Mongolia. What did all the mammals in Mongolia live somewhere else?
Yeah.
Did they all live in Canada too?
I mean,
He makes this very specific
that's
to
probably.
Notice that he makes this very specific to the United States and Canada.
Right.
Right. Where did all the mammals that we find in Mongolia and in China, like especially the woolly mammoth and stuff like that, did they live? Is there higher ground in Canada that they just, instead of washing down, they washed across the Bering Sea?
I mean, obviously.
Is that what happened?
Of course.
Now let's talk about the plesiosaurs and the ichthyosaurs and stuff like that. Again, we talked about the aquatic sea creatures. Aquatic sea creatures. Way to be redundant. They are very specific as well, and they all died as well. We know when they died. It's the even saying that they live further north is nonsense.
Yeah, it's doofy.
Oh man, I wonder if anybody is even And by the way, Shasta in the chat makes a very relevant point. Magic.
I mean, of course.
So let's see what he goes on to say, because I haven't really watched much past this. At least I watched it that first time where I was literally banging my head on stuff.
Yeah.
I had to like find a pillow so I didn't hurt myself. Yeah. But I haven't watched it since then. So let's see what he has to say here. We're past the halfway mark.
Early on the flood, you just deposited marine critters as the waters were starting to get higher. You started flooding the land around day 40. You started flooding the dinosaurs in the swampy areas, and then you went higher yet. To day 150, you finally went over the top and wiped out all the mammals and probably where the humans were living. So humans and dinosaurs probably lived in separate areas. They just, same time, just separate areas.
That is a wonderful claim to make, except there's no evidence for it.
Yeah.
I already kind of talked about that. I didn't realize I was skipping in front of him when I said that. But yeah, no, dinosaurs lived everywhere.
Yeah.
All right, so here we go.
Just like the mammals, most of the big mammals anyway, and the dinosaurs. Then finally the water went down. God remembered Noah, and the receding water phase began.
He's like, God remembered Noah. Can you imagine like God?
It's like, oh yeah.
He's like got like an alarm clock or some shit, and he keeps like hitting snooze on it.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, he's talking to like Vishnu or something, right? And Vishnu's like, "Hey, Yahweh,
wasn't there something you were supposed to do?"
Yahweh's like, "Motherfucker."
Yeah.
Yeah, you remembered. There we go.
Around day 150, as the ark touched ground, then you have the almost another 160 days or so of receding water. God made a wind to pass over the earth, he says in the King James, and the waters assuaged.
Now this is important. I've done this on Periscope a couple of times, where I have actually shown that this is at least two stories. Right? This is two different versions of the story, and you can see it even with what's written right here. So, and God made a wind to pass over the earth from extreme facepalm injuries. Thank you, IQ. And then the fountains of the deep and the windows of the heaven were stopped, right? And then you can see, and the waters returned from off the earth continually. And you can see where this is like two stories, even right here. And I've broken this down, and I think I could probably share it with some folks as well, where you can really tell where it's more than one story being told, and which makes sense because they're telling it from preceding mythologies. So, yeah.
Fountains of the deep, windows of heaven were stopped, rain from heaven was restrained, waters returned from off the earth continually, and at the end of 150 days, the waters were abated, so the water started going down, and the water originally was probably in the oceans. There was some water added from the fountains, but most of it was as you make new crust, it gets hot, and it pushes up the ocean from below. And so as you made more ocean crust, we talked about starting in the Basilica and Zuni, the more ocean crust you made, the higher the water went, because you're pushing the bottom of your bathtub up. Well, eventually, as you make more and more crust, the older crust starts to cool, and as it cools, it sinks, just like a hot air balloon losing its heat, and it starts to sink, and the crust of the earth, the ocean crust starts to subside. So the deepest oceans are these old areas now, way over here by the Marianas Trench in the Pacific, and it's still fairly shallow along these mid-ocean ridges. They're ridges because that's where there's still some residual magma still coming up. But during the flood, this would have happened much more quickly.
We already went over this last week, right? How the much more quickly thing would be impossible because it would literally turn the oceans into steam.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. By the way, he's not wrong. He understands fucking plate tectonics.
Yeah.
Because that is what happens. Mm-hmm. It's called subduction.
Yeah.
Like he knows that. That's the thing, Dr. Clarey. You know that what you're saying is true, but you also know that like that this could not have happened as quickly as what you're saying. This so plate tectonics has happened over the course of billions of years, right?
Yeah.
Including when the Earth was a snowball, before the Cambrian and everything. The tectonic plate activity is actually what has caused, in the past at least, and this is, by the way, this is millions of years when I say this, volcanic activity to cause a hothouse to where the global temperatures were 10 degrees higher than they are today, and stuff like that, where there was no ice on the poles and these kind of things. But what you're talking about, that takes millions of years.
Yeah.
Right now, we're making it go much faster.
True.
But what he's saying is true, and like everything about this is true, like what it looks like on the photo and stuff like that. But just because here's the thing, you can't say all this water was already there, the ocean water was already there, and then say that some of it came from the fountains of the deep, without saying this is where the fountains of the deep were.
Yeah.
Like what does that even mean, and where is that?
Metaphor. Everything's a fucking metaphor.
That guy said that a snake can be the metaphor. Yeah, remember that?
Yeah.
If that can be a metaphor, what can't be? Because that doesn't make sense. Just because, like they go up, what pushes it doesn't just go up, right? What's funny is in the photo you can see it. It's this rotation right here, right? You can see what happens. It goes in this direction. It doesn't just go up, right? It spreads across.
Right.
Right? That's what happens. What he's saying is that, yeah, if it creates more and more and more, so what you're saying then is that it expanded the Earth? That's what would have happened. What he's saying is that adding more, because if you add more crust, it expands the size of the planet.
Look, it just gained the freshman 15.
Okay.
Like you don't need to make it unsecure or anything.
All right, IQ, have a good one. All right, so that's nonsense. The plate tectonics is true, but that other shit's nonsense.
Yeah, no.
So as enough of the ocean was starting to cool, it was pulling off the water off the land. So most of the water that was covering the land actually went back into the oceans.
Yeah, no.
No.
No. And also, it takes forever for this shit to cool.
Right.
A wooden boat? I don't think so.
So it started in the oceans, added a little bit with the fountains, and then went back to the oceans as the oceans sank by cooling. And so here's the Tejas, where all the water went, is mostly offshore. You have most of the world's mountains pop up at this time. As a consequence of all that runaway rapid subduction, you thicken the crust, and John Baumgartner can give you more details on this, but it actually causes if it's thick crust, it's going to push higher. So 80% of the world's mountains form. The Himalayas, the Rockies, the Andes, all form at this time late in the flood as the water is receding and draining.
Nope, that's not true. We know exactly when they started forming, and we know that the youngest mountain range on the planet is the Himalayas. We know the Rockies are basically next, right? And you're talking 13 million years, at least.
Yeah.
No, the Rockies are even older than that, but yeah, you're talking millions of years, right? What he's talking about, if there is this, you're telling me that almost 30,000 foot from sea level mountain is going to be formed in a couple of days, that would fracture the fucking planet.
Yeah.
And then not only that, you want to talk about some tsunamis again? There's no way this could have happened. This is literally earth building. It's what it is. It's you're talking about, and this is what you did last week, right? You did this, and then you did this. There would be magnitude above 10 earthquakes for until this is done. Nothing would survive that. Not least of all the mountains, because at the rate that he's saying they went, you know what would just happen, right? They would just fucking they would pulverize.
Yeah.
It is nonsense. And hey, Maya, good to see you.
And off the land, so you got a lot of the tops of these mountains were kind of eroded off and left a lot of sediment around the American West. You get the Cascades erupting, Mount St. Helens, forming the mountain that it is today. Most of that began the Taos. Yellowstone's eruptions all happened at this time. The supervolcano erupted at this time. But again,
remember, folks, all that happened, and it did not affect. It did not affect
the giant wooden boat.
The wooden boat. Yep. The wooden boat that's still in the water. Yep. A supervolcano erupted.
No.
And didn't even... There's no evidence of that, by the way, over the course of the past 4,000 years. No. There's not. We know. Well, we don't know, but we have strong evidence pointing to the last point that the Yellowstone supervolcano did erupt. Right? And guess what? It was not 4,000 years ago. No, it's 60,000. Yeah.
But that's
not by the way, it's getting up there. We're getting close.
Oh, goody.
Yeah, we are. It's close. Yeah, and Mount St. Helens is forming. So he's talking about the Cascades.
Yeah.
That means the Ring of Fire, because they're all connected. 90% of the Earth's volcanoes are in that Ring of Fire. That means all of those as well. Every single one of those at the same time. I wonder if it includes Kilauea, which is the most active volcano in the world. I wonder if that includes that, because you're talking about island forming at that point.
Yeah.
I wonder if it includes like Krakatoa, which has given us some of the worst volcanic eruptions of the past 2 centuries.
Right.
That kind of thing. If so, what you're talking about there, remember I said the volcanoes caused the hothouse? Yeah, same concept. What he's also saying, though, is that when the supervolcano erupted, the ashfall fossil beds, that was right now, at this point that he just said. When it's still underwater.
And God still had Noah and everybody still in the ark.
How?
Yeah.
Magic.
I mean, obviously.
That's the only answer. Sorry. Keep going.
They were still protected by the ark. And most of the sediments in this area of the world, in North America, drained off into the Gulf, and that becomes our oil sediments, oil-filled sediments in the Gulf that we look for oil. And they're still finding huge deposits in the Gulf.
Oh, I can't wait to get to that, by the way. How the oil formation could not have happened with a flood. Yeah. What do we got? I love this photo that he uses right here. It is like the oldest and least detailed photo or graphic of all time. Just take a little look. See, it's not something that an actual like biologist would use or actual geologist would use.
Right.
Here we go. Let's see what we got.
And these fossils mostly found in the Tejas, the receding phase, are mostly marine fossils, of course, again, and mammals. So we see these large mammals and marine mix going on like we saw before. And here's kind of how it works across South America. We talked about North America a lot. Here's the Sauk, the first sequence in South America. And you can see how the flood progresses greater and greater, just like the Bible talks about. So here's the Sauk, Tippecanoe, the Kaskaskia. You see it's increasing the coverage. The blue's getting wider. The Absarica, you see even more. The Zuni, this is the high point of the flood, I believe, for most.
Okay, cool. So then it wasn't underwater.
Yeah.
From what he's looking at, that's not underwater.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm guessing then is that the dinosaurs all lived on like the other side of the mountains, right? They all lived, and then the humans were all on the other side.
Of course.
Yeah, that's how that works there.
The continents. And then you see it receding, and here you see the Andes pop up in the middle, and so it's white here because they wrote off all the sediments. But you see it gets thick off the Amazon. More water is draining off than going on. So we can go through that again really quick because some of you blinked. But this is the first, chapter, second, third, fourth, fifth, the high point of the flood, and then the receding phase is the way I see it.
That's the way you see it, but no. Yeah. But also, start of the flood, by the way. This is, and I'd like you to remember, by the way, that what he's saying, start of the flood, we would have still been Pangea. Mm-hmm. So he is, this according to him, this would have been Pangea.
Right.
Right? Yeah. So the way he's showing it right now, he's even missing his own stuff. Mm-hmm. Because at the start of the flood, according to him, the earth didn't look like this. Mm-hmm. So I'd like to see some representation there. Let's see what he says.
So you look at the start of the flood, there's the sock thickness across the continents I have done. I don't have Asia done in Australia or Antarctica. But this is the beginning of the flood. There's a lot more coverage in North America than most of the continents, but you'll see the consistency in the first few sequences. So this is the start of the flood, and this is the high point of the flood. You can see how much more dramatic the coverage, the start of the flood to the high point of the flood. And even those little remnants up in North America and across Africa, you see those little bathtub ring pieces. So even though this was probably a lot of these areas in white, like the Scandinavia area, were probably high points before the flood, it actually does show that there was, some sediment across those little areas. And this is the receding phase, when most of the material is going offshore again. As the water drained, you dumped these green areas that are very thick, like in the Gulf of Mexico and off the Niger Delta over here. And actually the South Caspian Sea is tremendously thick. It's over about 9 miles thick of just this receding phase sediments. And so in Europe, again, if you look at just Europe, I just finished up, we have the same sort of pattern. This first frame over here on the left shows the sock, the beginning of the flood, which is probably a shallow sea area. And then you see the high point of the flood, the Zuni, where a lot more of the continent is flooded, except for this area, Norway, still very, very thin. And then you see the receding phase kind of.
So I'm guessing all the humans lived in Norway then. All right.
I can't even tell at this point.
Well, here's the thing. Do you know what we don't see in ashfall fossil beds?
What?
Humans.
That makes sense.
Do you know what we don't see basically at all in the fossil record?
Humans.
Any humans.
Yeah.
Any Homo sapiens, period.
Yeah.
According to him, we all live together.
Yeah.
So how come there's no fucking humans?
Because all of the skeletons got sent up to heaven? No, they got sent down to hell because they were all bad.
There it is.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you. We all lived in, I guess all the humans lived in Norway, so Donald Trump was right. God damn it.
Mimics the high point, but it's shifted more offshore in most cases. So this...
Again, I have to ask this question again. So what he's saying is that a massive buildup of I don't know, I guess magma came up and went into the mantle, and it raised the seabed, right?
Poofed everything out.
Yeah, and it went poof.
Yeah,
it gained weight. At the end of the flood, did it go on a diet and lower?
Yes. So it's essentially the equivalent of, like, how whenever Gypsy gets all upset and she puffs out her fur and then she calms down and God's a cat.
Out. Very nice.
She's just like that.
Very nice.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
exactly how it was.
Thanks. Yeah.
I mean, it's more believable than what he's saying.
Yeah, because that shit there's no evidence that's ever happened.
Yeah.
And then the water just drained back into the ocean. Especially, never mind. I'm not getting into how this would be like brackish fucking water. Nothing could survive. Go ahead.
Correct.
This is a summary of the four continents I have done. Here's North America, South America, Africa, Europe, and then there's a total of all four. It shows by sequence. The first sequence is in green, the sock, and this is the Zuni at the end. But the high point of the flood is this brown one. You see, only in Europe do you see a little earlier flooding, because Europe seems to be more of a shallow sea and more of a lowland. There wasn't very many uplands in Europe, so you get a little bit higher flooding a little earlier than most of the continents. But at the end, this is the surface area that's still there today. You can still see it's the minimum amount early, a little bit more, greater, and then you reach the peak, and then it's going down. And that's reflected also in the volume of sediment. That was surface area, this is volume. You see North America, you see kind of a steady increase in volume. Actually, there's more receding sediment than there is even at the high point. South America, same sort of thing. Africa, really peaks in the Zuni. Because Africa doesn't have any Andes or Rockies to get in the way. It just shows, what the sediments really do show. Europe, again, peaks a little bit earlier in the Ypsiroca, because much more of Europe, I believe, was not uplands, but it was lowlands.
Yeah, and so none of the people lived in the lowlands. Mm-hmm. That's important to note. Like, from what he's trying to say here is none of the people lived there, and only Cambrian animals lived in a certain area, right? And then dinosaurs, and then I'm guessing mammoths lived in the next elevation piece, and then Neanderthals. I don't know. It's this. By the way, I'm not going to get into this tonight. I'm not going to. The reason why we actually know why there's sediment in these locations and what the sediment is, right? We're actually aware of all this stuff. Mm-hmm. If you're wondering if I can do that or not, watch last week's video, because I can go into a lot of detail. I'm not going to tonight because it's just. But we know why this is not, we know why this sediment is here. We can say Jesus fucking Christ. Oh yeah, about an hour ago. All right.
So you add all four of them up again, you get a nice pattern of starting slow, increasing, peaking, and then going down. So to me, this is compelling. Pretty much all the continents are doing the same thing. So to argue that's not a global flood is, to me, you're arguing against the facts. The facts show that there was one increase in flooding, started out slow, built to a peak. Most continents, it was in the Zuni, the end of the Cretaceous, when the dinosaurs are buried, and then you went over the top, and through the water started to recede, you threw the mammals kind of on top of all that. But the pattern, the rocks themselves don't lie. Only people lie. The rocks show there was a global flood. Here's North America.
So why don't you put any of this inside of the scientific papers you publish?
The rocks don't lie, the people lie.
Yeah.
I find that...
But
is this the proper use of irony?
Yeah. Because why don't you put any of this stuff inside of the scientific stuff that you publish?
Yeah, if you think it's so solid, if you think this is something that can stand up to scrutiny, then you would do that.
Yeah. So why don't you do it, Dr. Clarey? Why don't you do it, Aiden Parks? Because as a follower of Jesus, you want to always tell the truth, right?
You would think.
Looking at you, Aiden. You're young enough that you can actually understand this. Tim Clarey doesn't give two shits. He lies for a living. Try not to.
Again, by rock type. This is a volume by rock type. So the brown is shale, blue is limestone, yellow is sandstone, red is volcanics. And we see at the end there, the volcanics are peaking. This is part of Yellowstone, the Cascades, all those super volcanoes that people seem to worry about. Well, that happened in the flood.
No, it didn't.
So I don't believe you're going to get super volcano eruptions anymore. Those are just like the rapid movement of the plates aren't going to happen anymore. We have very slow movements and very small eruptions.
Okay, first off, you're the only person I've ever heard say that we're not going to have supervolcanoes erupt. Mm-hmm. Literally is something we expect. That's a reason that Old Faithful is faithful.
Yeah.
It has to do with that. It's a caldera.
Yeah.
It's going to fucking explode at some point. We know that will happen. Also, he's like, how can you say, by the way, how can you say that we don't expect the continents to again? You know what I mean? How can you say that? How we don't expect this to happen again. Why?
Yeah.
God said he wouldn't flood the earth again. He didn't say he wouldn't go into massive, 20-day fucking plate tectonics.
That'd be entertaining. Terrifying, but entertaining.
Oh yeah, we'd all be dead. We would die immediately. Something like that would happen. It would split apart and for 20 miles or some shit. It would be the largest tsunami that the world has ever seen, and we'd all die. It would wrap around the fucking planet. There would be shock waves around the planet. We would all die.
Doesn't seem like it'd be a fun way to go. I mean,
No.
can you try and surf it? Did you think I was serious?
I decided to laugh.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Compared to what we had in the past. Here's Africa. Here's South America. Here's Europe. And here's the world totals again by rock type. So again, brownish shale. So you do see that shale is the most common sedimentary rock, which geologists have said for years. But
Oh yeah? Have they? It's amazing what science you accept.
it's nice to see that confirmed when I push a button on the computer, totals up all my 2,000 and some columns, and you get the results.
It's almost as if the science is falsifiable.
Wow.
You know, a lot of carbonate, limestone in blue, and then you get quite a bit of sandstone in yellow. And there's even a lot of salt. This kind of pinkish color is salt. So you get salt kind of flows out, and salt we think is probably due to the fountains.
What? Sorry. Trigger warning. I'm gonna yell. What? Salt is probably no. We actually know what salt is. No. No. Yeah, somebody heard me yell and they left. No, I'm just. It's probably due to the fountains. Jesus Christ.
Really salty, almost these really weird chemistries coming out of the fountains, and they're often found in areas where the earth rifted a little bit. But to me, this is the global pattern we see. Starts out slow, works its way up, peaks, and goes down. And so I redrew the sea level curve that we always see in the geology textbooks. They always draw a big peak down here early on, but that doesn't show up. And I'm going to be giving a talk next month at the Geological Society of America meeting in Phoenix. I'm going to give a talk on the Sauk and Tippecanoe sequences, how they didn't actually flood as much as we have been telling our students. The rocks across the continents don't really support that. They show very little flooding, and then, of course, maximum flooding up here.
Are you going to tell them it was a global flood, or did you tell them it was a global flood? Because I want to know.
Yeah, I'm curious.
Bill Ludlow was there over the weekend.
Really?
Yeah, he met up with another creationist. Bill Ludlow, by the way, is a guy out in Arizona. He works or he volunteers, I think, out there for the Arizona Museum of Natural History, I think. Mm-hmm. He gives tours and stuff like that, and he's really big into homininae and stuff, and he's got a bunch of the fossils and stuff like that. And he actually, he has a website. It is creationsciencefiction.com.
That's awesome.
And it's a fun little website. You should go to it for sure. And he was there. He was in Phoenix this past weekend because those are things that he goes to. And he met with one of the young Earth creationists. And apparently he introduced them to an actual geologist. And I wrote him a message and I asked him if he had an opportunity to meet up with Tim. And I haven't heard back from him yet. So and I hadn't heard back from him yet. So we'll make sure that if we figure something out for sure. Because I want to know, Tim. Dr. Clarey, or Mr. Parks, if when you went and did this, if you told them it was a global flood caused by God,
right?
I want to know. By the way, if in the event that we are the scientists and geologists are incorrect about how much how much water was over like Laurentia or something like this in the Cambrian, then it's something that we'd want to know,
right?
He also went to it was the thing he went to is odd, but would want to know this. And by the way, that's actually good science, which is what I said. But I want to know if you went there and told them that it was a global flood caused by God. Did you, Tim? Tell the truth. If somebody's like me, they recorded it anyways. The truth will come out, Tim.
The truth is out there.
Oh, man. I wonder if I can call him Tim. I think we're on first name basis.
Tim?
Hi, Tim. I'm atheist.
So this, to me, is in my book. It's going to be in my book coming out this fall. It's going to put a lot of these maps, sequence by sequence. You can go.
There's the ringer for the book.
Yep.
You didn't think they'd go an entire video without telling you about some shit that they were shelling.
Oh, no, I knew.
Oh, yeah. And by the way, yes, I'm gonna get my hands on that book. It's one of those books I'm gonna get my hands on, and I'm gonna like line through everything and be like, "This is a lie. This is a lie. This is a lie."
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I expect that. I am excited for your book, Dr. Clarey.
Go through it and see it all. And ultimately, we can take our maps and we can start constructing basic pre-flood world maps. And this is kind of putting it all back together into kind of a Pangea. The light green are the highest areas that were flooded last. So that's probably where humans and most mammals were living in the pre-flood world.
Again, let's remember that first off, this isn't Pangea. The thing he's showing is
No.
not Pangea.
No.
Secondly, let's remember we have found dinosaurs on every single continent.
Correct.
That we have. I don't think we found any in Australia. We certainly or in Australia, but Antarctica. Mm-hmm. But I'm certain we will. Let's point that out. Dinosaurs don't care about your borders. All right, dinosaur. Yeah, let's just talk about how Noah. How many hundreds of years old was Noah?
I don't know.
It was like 600 or some shit.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fighting off a T-Rex.
Yeah. Somehow I doubt that.
Right? Dinosaurs don't care where you go, humans. You are nice little... Oh, man. Yeah. And you can't fight them off either? I mean, literally in the movie The Ice Age, right? It's called Ice Age?
Yeah.
That's literally like a joke that Ray Romano, the woolly mammoth, says about the little kid. He's like, why are you so dangerous? You don't have any claws. You don't have any fur. And obviously it's because the kid's cute. He's like, why are you? And he's like, why are you killing all of us? Right? Yeah, because you're not. And there's no fucking way we could kill the dinosaurs. We could do it now. There's nothing that can stop us now except for ourselves, which we're good at. But dinosaurs wouldn't fucking care where you lived. They would live there too.
It's true.
And then you wouldn't live there anymore.
That's very true.
Because they would kill you.
Yes, they would.
Just it's driving me insane. That was that laugh. I'm gonna turn into fucking Joaquin Phoenix pretty soon. That
Please
movie
no.
that movie released this weekend, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, The Joker. I hear it's actually a really good film.
I've heard that.
Yeah. But I don't want to watch it because I don't want the Joker to be humanized. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I just want to be like, oh, look, this is the insane villain, and he's been insane since birth. Mm-hmm. There you go. Let me live that. Like Thanos. Thanos has been power hungry since birth. Right?
Since he was a tiny little chin.
Since he was... he came out as a chin. See, this is the shit you people miss when you don't watch our show. This is like good content. We talk about that too. Not about the Joker. We just talk about content. All right, Dr. Clarey. Let's see what else you got.
And then you'll see that the darker green are like the Dinosaur Peninsula, the kind of lowland areas. And much of Europe up here is a lowland. We actually haven't updated it here, but we predicted this based on the rocks we saw, and then we went back and verified it. When we put our data in, we didn't have to change much. We actually did a pretty good job of kind of guesstimating what Europe was, and sure enough, it was mostly a lowland. And that's why it flooded a little bit earlier than, say, Africa and South America and even North America, because it was lower ground. But you notice it's separated here. We have a landmass here. These are stretched in the north, and a landmass over here that may have been separate from this bigger landmass down here. So it's possible the guy did create, one big landmass with a couple smaller ones that were separated by some water. Put Adam and Eve here, for example, somewhere. We don't know where Eden is. But somewhere down in this area, and then put animals that maybe on every continent, and then the humans fell ahead to take some boats, use their technology, use their intelligence that God gave us to actually get across these other areas. I don't know if it's true or not, but
it's not. I'm just gonna let you know, it's not true. Like, the shit he's saying is not true.
Right.
Like, it's not. Okay, do you know who doesn't care about our intelligence? Fucking Tyrannosaurus.
Correct.
It doesn't matter how much intelligence you have. If you don't have a gun or actual technology, Tyrannosaur gonna eat you.
Correct.
Right? So is Dromaeosaurus. How many fucking Dromaeosaurus do we find in Alaska? There were like 4 or 5 of them. Mm-hmm. Different species of the fucking Dromaeosaurs. Right? Okay, cool. What about
will kill you.
What about the 6-foot turkey from Jurassic Park that they called a velociraptor? It was actually Deinonychus, right? Yeah.
They killed
Or the Utah raptor. You'll never guess where that one's found. You think it ate Brigham Young?
Nevada.
Good job.
I mean, it's right next to Utah.
Shasta asked if humans stop breeding to be a good thing. For the planet, probably.
I think if fewer people
Objectively,
have children.
Objectively for the planet, yes, it would be a good thing. That is not even a question.
Yeah.
I think anybody, if humans didn't exist, the planet would be better off.
Yeah, that's correct.
But as it turns out, evolution did this. Yeah, good job, evolution. Did this. Blame it on evolution. If anything, it could do that. And the Christians could do that shit. And now God's going to fix it. See? They could do that. You could just accept evolution. Be like, see, now God's fixing it.
Well, they do already say that we're in the end times.
There you go.
Yeah.
All I got to do now is accept evolution.
And actually, the up next on YouTube right now, how Antichrist authority is being established now on the Signs of the Last Days YouTube channel.
No, they're live right now.
They are live right now.
He's like, the guy said, I don't know if this is true or not. It's not.
Yeah.
At that point, you're like, okay, then why are you saying it?
Right.
I appreciate like his moments of clarity where you can tell that he knows his bullshit.
Yeah.
And he's like, I mean, I don't know I don't know if anything I'm saying is true, but it seems like it's a good story.
It's making me money,
shit.
so.
Bad attitude because their arms are too short to masturbate. Thank you, Mark. We appreciate you. She appreciates you more than I do.
I got a big head and little arms. I don't think we thought this plan all the way through.
When he's like, right?
Yeah, he's got the subtitles on him. Meet the Robinson.
Yeah, he has subtitles because, at least, yeah.
Did you notice how I was like,
I did.
arms.
So whenever we go to the ICR, yeah, it was funny. Whenever we go to ICR and I go in there, I'm going to be pissed off immediately. Not just because I'm at
like
ICR, but because the T-Rex they have has horizontal fucking arms. Yeah. Always vertical, folks. Always vertical.
This seems to be what the rocks are starting to show. So don't hold me to it, but that's our best guess at this point. So what we did is we put all this on a globe. We had a guy come in and color it all. We put it on a 48-inch globe. You'll be able to see this 2-minute video that shows up. And it looks better on a globe than a flat screen because it doesn't stretch at the top. But here's kind of North America, South America, Africa, and this is Antarctica and Australia kind of stuck on. And Europe's up here, and then Asia's kind of back over in this way. And there's some debate about that. But you can kind of see these white areas are the fountain.
There's debate about that? Like, there's not a single geologist on the planet that even knows about this. There's no debate.
Yeah.
I want him to take this bullshit to Arizona with him last weekend. Go back in time. I think this is at the Discovery thing, by the way. Their little Discovery Center or whatever,
Yeah.
ICR. Yeah.
It's that burst on day one. So they're supposed to be showing steam and things coming out, making the plates,
okay.
initial plate boundaries.
Okay.
Then as it progressed along to day 25, the water's coming in, making things muddier. As you work your way in, day 40, you're looking at, it's flooding more and more of the land. So like the Bible talks about, the ark starts to float on day 40. And based on our sequences, and you can see the continents are starting to move apart a little bit under the water. It's now North America over here in day 90 and a little bit of Africa. Just the highest ground is above the sea level at this point. This is probably where the humans and most of the mammals were.
But not the dinosaurs. And yes, Maya, that was good. That was very good. You made her laugh very much. By the way, so this is where the humans and the mammals were. What? And not just any mammals, by the way, because let's remember that not every mammal is the same age.
Right.
Right? Well, the chat has taken a turn. This are woolly mammoths in the same like strata as modern day elephants?
Did woolly mammoths masturbate too?
And eventually those start to flood as well, and people are, I'm sure, panicking at this point in the flood. Day 130, there probably wasn't much left. By day 150, you have this. All you have is the ark, and the people on the ark, and the animals on the ark, two of every kind, including the dinosaurs. There's only about 60 kinds of dinosaurs, so you only need about 120 dinosaurs maybe.
Nope.
But this is, to me, when you see this on the globe, it's very compelling. It's just all blue. And then there, by day 250 or so, you're starting to get the land coming back. Most of the mountainous areas popping up first. Over to the right over here, this would be the Alps. The Ark would have landed somewhere over here, probably in Himalayas are over here, but there's that big mountain chain that runs from the Alps to the Himalayas, and here you got the Rockies all the way down to the Andes, and then eventually more and more land shows up. There's no vegetation on them quite yet, and you get more day 314 when the world was pretty much dry, and then it starts to green up, and then that's when God finally opens the door and says, "You guys can go now, and there's enough food for the animals to eat."
Yeah, where did it come from? Like that's still a question that I have. Where did the plants come from? Because
I was just gonna say they ate like little baby animals, but we're talking about plants.
We actually have evidence as to see like where plants originally came from, and we do. We have this wonderful. This is what helped to end the hothouse, the original hothouse. Right? We actually have evidence of this. The first point where plants are actually breathing in CO2 and spitting out oxygen. We actually have evidence of this. And he's saying. At this point, these plants are all, it's going to populate the entire planet, even though all the plants had drowned.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So the flood was global. I told you I'd spend more time on that than anything else. And some of you are asleep now, but try to get some coffee in. We're going to go through the next part kind of quick. But it was catastrophic as well, as we'll see, and it was recent. So let's go to catastrophic. When I dig dinosaurs, I used to dig in Thermopolis, Wyoming. You find these bone beds. So when you find bones, you find hundreds or thousands of bones, usually all packed together like log jams. It's not just a single bone. It looks like literally like log jams of bones of different animals all tore apart. And when you find marine fossils mixed with them, you find land plants mixed with swimming critters. You find dinosaurs like this on top of fish. You see evidence of rapid sedimentation. You see polystrate trees.
Okay, two things. I still really fucking hate the fact that he's saying critters.
That was Benny. Yeah, if you heard that, that was one of the corgis. He's sitting outside the door, actually laying down outside the door.
Waiting for us.
Yeah.
Two, why am I not surprised that he brought up the polystrate trees?
I had forgotten about the polystrate trees.
You were just talking about it like the other day.
Yeah, I know, but I had forgotten that he brought it up in this video.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because we were watching GE the other day. The Godless Engineer, by the way, watched a little bit of his show, the thing he was doing the other day, and somebody asked him about polystrate trees and stuff like that, and I was like, wow, this has been so debunked. Mm-hmm. It was in the 1800s they explained why this occurs, right? They explained this shit then.
Yeah. And
it's crazy that we have to do this over and over and over again.
Because they're not listening.
No, it is crazy. Watch. Hold on, I'm just gonna Google this real quick. Watch this. I mean, literally, all this takes is a Google. So here we go. Oh, drop my mouse. All right, here we go. Let's see here. Bum, 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 bum. Oh, look.
So it autofills.
The first one.
To polystrate trees. And then the first selection after that, polystrate trees, debunked.
Yep, that's the first one. Enter. A polystrate fossil is a fossil of a single organism that extends through more than one geological stratum. Thank you very much. Ahem.
Quote unquote.
This is from, I don't even know.
Talkorigins.org.
Yeah, it's from talkorigins.org. I do recommend if anything like this, you always go to talkorigins.org. But it's from Andrew McCrae. Some creationist presentations include claims about polystrate fossils. From the description, this term is used for fossils which intersect several beds, usually in sedimentary rocks. Although often used in creationist literature, this person says, I have been unable to determine the origin of the term. It is not a standard geological term. This makes it difficult for the uninitiated to find conventional literature about these fossils. They do that shit on purpose.
Yeah.
Right? This presentation attempts to explain what polystrate fossils are and offers a critique. All right. So, are they a problem for conventional geology? Well, they were not a problem to explain in the 19th century, which is what I brought up, right?
Yeah.
And they still are not a problem now. John William Dawson in 1868, right? This was 3 years after we figured out that owning people's bad, right? Described a classic Carboniferous age locality it's in Joggins, Nova Scotia, which is usually the one that they bring up, right? Where there are upright, giant lycopod trees up to a few meters tall, preserved mainly in river-deposited sandstones, which is what you're going to find most of them in anyways. These trees have extensive root systems with rootlets that penetrate into the underlying sediment, which is either a coal seam or an intensely rooted sandstone or mudstone. Dawson considered and rejected anything but an in situ formation for these fossils, and its interpretation is closely similar to current interpretations of sediments deposited on river floodplains. It is crazy because one of these is an interesting feature of these examples is the presence of vertebrate fossils that you find inside of the stumps. So why, if it was during like this, why would we find vertebrate fossils in there?
Yeah.
Which just wouldn't make sense, right? Let's see.
Just heard the dog again.
Okay, here you go. Fossil tree trunks, which extend upward to multiple layers of limestone, have been found in many areas of the world, including Kingston, Ontario. Turns out, by the way, there are no such trees in Kingston, Ontario. Let's see. I'm going to make this so it's easy to understand.
Okay.
Let's see. I'm going to try and there we go. So what you have, by the way, is a tree will die, all right? But the root system doesn't die, right? So this part right here dies, if you will. Part of it does anyway, but the root system doesn't die. And so the tree actually is able to continue to grow, and as well as another one inside of it, right? It actually will grow up through itself, basically, to where it's not one tree, but multiple trees that grow inside of itself.
I have seen an example of that recently.
Yeah, the root
on
system.
Reddit, yeah,
the root system doesn't die.
Right.
Right. It's still in the water. Even no matter if the tree on the inside, the original tree rots, it actually will grow up around itself, basically, in and around itself. Which is why you find at certain layers. It's actually kind of cool because you actually find certain layers of fossils that actually exist, like in certain layers of the strata. Which is it's actually kind of funny because of where they would have lived. So the tree was actually like alive during this sedimentation period. What's funny is that this sedimentation period, the type of sedimentation, especially going into rock that they're talking about, wouldn't have been possible in a great flood. No, not at all, because the tree wouldn't have been able to stand upright. It's a flood, right? And so you're talking about basically an already dead tree, and another one grows inside of it, which, yes, as you mentioned, you can see, right? And it basically just fills it up, and it goes straight up. It doesn't always go straight up.
Right.
Sometimes it's almost it's at an angle, right? But yeah, this isn't an example of something that is that is like a flood happened and this had to happen in like 2 seconds or something like that. No, this takes a very long time for it to happen. Now, with that being said, if it is a river or something like that, you're talking about sedimentational deposits that can accumulate faster than other times.
Right.
But this is not an uncommon. Well, it's for us to look at it. It's not something that we didn't expect to see or have an explanation for. So talking about polystrate trees is nonsense. And by the way, I can put multiple links to anything that can debunk polystrate fossils and stuff like that. Another example. Bit of clay now hardened into stone. They have roots in the clay, and which is not possible. They were torn up by Noah's flood. The clay was once river sediment. Either the trees were immersed in water and slowly covered with river sediment, or the trees were buried in a quick river flood. Coal is always found above the trees, formed by a plant life growing with the trees, which is what you find, in a lot of areas. Yeah, it's this thing. It doesn't make any sense. Right. Like to even bring that stuff up would be bad. Half-assed dead for years. Yeah. I don't want to get into polystrate trees is one of those things that are we saw one down at the Creation Evidence Museum.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't worry, Carl Baugh. I'm coming for you.
Okay, so just for the sake of, because I'm sleepy.
Yeah. I'm going to let him finish this because he talked about something.
Perfect, thank you.
Because he talks about something that's very important to me.
Yeah. I figured we want to let him finish this little bit.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Occasionally standing up, these layers didn't take thousands of years to be deposited because the tree would have rotted away. And so it had to be rapid deposition. You see immediate death positions, animals that were still alive, eating things, just buried instantly.
Okay. That fish was obviously eating a fish that was too big for it to eat, and it choked and died.
Yeah.
Right? That's it.
Yeah.
100%.
That was not a case of sudden fossilization.
Why would a fish... Never mind. Why would fishes care about a flood? Of all the animals to care about a flood.
Took me a second.
Maybe not an example to use.
Yeah.
Yeah, so dinosaurs themselves were buried rapidly as well. It wasn't a slow process. And here's proof of that. My favorite specimen that ever was found by a Polish expedition to Mongolia found a velociraptor, which really isn't that big. The movies lie.
That's the first honest thing you've said today.
Yeah.
Ceratops here, and they're actually in the process of fighting. The arm of the velociraptor is in the mouth of the Protoceratops, who's a plant-eating animal, but it was, like a trapped rat, it's going to bite back. And so it was biting down on the velociraptor, about to snap its arm with a really strong bite, and then they got buried instantly in the flood.
Okay, no, it didn't get buried in the flood at all. In fact, it was actually buried by landslide, which we can see. We actually know the type of sediment that it's buried in. It wasn't a flood. And also the Protoceratops had already broken the Velociraptor's forearm.
Oh, wow.
You can see that it's snapped. Unlikely that the Protoceratops would have survived because the sickle claw, which is actually what the Velociraptor is called, right? It's got a sickle claw on its right here, which is what they have now, which is what you look like at, like roosters and stuff. And notice those birds have that big claw back there.
Right.
Same thing. Oh. And he had it in its neck.
Oof.
Yeah, deep in this Protoceratops' neck, probably right there where it would have severed the artery and would have bled to death, right? Same thing as what you would see today from whenever like there's a cockfight and stuff like that, right?
Yeah. Whenever
these birds fight, that's what they do. They go right there and they put their legs up, right? And they kick like right here.
Yeah.
And they do it on purpose. And what you can see from that is like, it's like when that was happening. Now, a couple of different things could have been happening around them, but we can actually see, so a few different things. One, this may not have happened at the moment that the Protoceratops bit because he could have fallen down on top of the Velociraptor,
right? Which
would have made it unable to move, right? They could have been in the same area as this kind of stuff was happening and just happened to do that. But it's a landslide that buried them. And it's a wonderful piece. It's not the only fighting dinosaurs we find. There's actually some up in I think Montana as well.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and you're talking about flood or landslide or something like that. But what he's trying to posit What he's trying to say is that this, like a tsunami,
Yeah.
would not have left them like this.
Right.
It could not have.
Right.
Yeah, and you can actually see that it's a fucking bird. Like that, as Shasta says here, it's pretty close that it's a bird. Yeah.
It's like we just saw in the last video clip. You know, see mummified dinosaurs with the skin still on them. No evidence of feathers, by the way. That's another whole talk I could give later. But there's
There's feathers. Oh, please give the talk there, Mr. Geologist. Please do.
a lot of creation scientists saying there's feathered dinosaurs, and I think that's not correct. I think they're looking at feathered birds, and they're calling them feathered dinosaurs because the secular scientists have expanded the definition of what a dinosaur is to include birds because they want them to evolve into birds.
Okay, so birds lack one thing that dinosaurs have. Do you know what that is?
No.
Teeth.
Huh.
Birds don't have teeth.
I guess
So,
I never really. Yeah.
so dinosaurs with feathers are not birds.
Right.
Yep. Just saying. Sorry, Tim. I hope Aiden sees this. Just saying. I really want to save. And like everyone is like save somebody. I want to save Aiden. I really
It's
do.
noble.
I know. He's just a kid.
Is he though? I think
He's like
he's my
20.
age.
No,
I thought he was like my
he's in
age.
his 20s.
Is he?
He's at Irving College.
So? I was at Tarrant County College a year ago.
I know, but it's like I think he's a kid. You know what? You know what?
Yeah.
Somebody. Bird life suck.
So unfortunately, a lot of creation paleontologists are actually buying into that lie. When you look at the anatomy of these things, their legs, they walk like birds, unlike dinosaurs. And so there's a difference between the two. But we see flat planar deposits all across the world. You know, you can go up to Colorado and places, or Grand Canyon, you can see these same layers go for miles in all directions. There's no evidence of erosion. You know, there's no gullies, no river valleys cut into these. They're pretty much flat on flat on flat, just like bricks. We see.
Isn't that what the entirety of the Grand Canyon is?
Yeah, it's erosion.
Yeah.
The entire fucking canyon.
There was a river that cut through that.
Yeah. It was not always the Colorado River, by the way, that did that. There's uplift and things like that as well. But for him to say there's like, didn't he say in the video that he didn't go, that he was in Arizona, like at the Grand Canyon and shit?
Yeah.
Like, dude, like, there's a river in the canyon.
Yeah.
Like what? Okay, hold on. Just a little bit more, because he gets into something that really chaps my ass. And not as much as the asphalt fossil beds thing, but still.
And there's supposed to be close to 1 million years of erosion here between the Coconino sandstone on the top and the Hermit Shale underneath. And you go around Grand Canyon and you see it's perfectly flat. You know, this is a shale, very soft rock made out of clay. You got a sandstone coming across. You know, why wouldn't there be some sort of gullies and erosional surfaces? And you see this everywhere you go, flat upon flat upon flat. Occasionally there's some erosion here and there, but very little compared to, you know, layer upon layer. It's almost like you're putting bricks on. You know, there's no time between these bricks either.
There is time between the bricks. I think he's saying no significant time, isn't he?
Significant amount of time. You may have a few days or a few weeks between some of the layers, but there's no evidence of great time.
Okay. Let me just expand this out. So what you're saying is you're waiting when you put bricks up, right? And you put the stuff that allows the bricks to harden and stick together, right? Which would make them very, very difficult to remove, right? And it takes time for that to happen before you can put the next bricks on top of them, right? Okay. Now let's go ahead and just do this geologically. Now let's expand it with how many fucking rocks there are.
Right.
He destroyed his own argument right there. He's like, it's just like putting bricks. You put the stuff that makes it stick together, and then you have to wait until the other bricks start nice and hard, and then and then you have sex with it. Apparently, he killed his own argument.
I'm not gonna kink shame.
Yeah, some people you like brick walls. That's cool.
Yeah.
So let's move on to the final point, because some of you are dozing off. Oh,
Second time he said that joke.
not. One or two of you might be. Let's go back to the bones. what do the rocks really show? And the rocks are showing this since 2005. Discovered with Mary Schweitzer's initial discovery of soft tissues, original proteins, soft things. This is like a rubber band. She's able to stretch it in video. There's original proteins and cells, red blood cells, red osteocyte cells, bone-making cells. And there was just a new paper that came out a couple of days ago, finding another one of these. And there's been over 100 papers now since her discovery in 2005, secular papers showing original proteins, collagens, all these different cells, blood vessels have been found over and over and over, showing that these things are still, like not that old.
Now let's break this down. Mary Schweitzer very specifically. I don't know how to do this because to go watch Paul and Gia's video. Paul had, and Paul is a friend of ours, and I spoke with him. I was actually going to include a part of his video in a response video here, and I asked him if I could, and he said of course. And then because we're doing this live, I'm not going to have the chance to do that. But he has a video. He had the opportunity to be in a Google Hangout with Mary Schweitzer. Mm-hmm. The lucky motherfucker. Still jealous of you. Still jealous. I mean, there's, also the Star Wars thing. But
mostly that.
And to where he actually asks Mary Schweitzer about this. And if they are telling the truth. And she says, wrong on all counts. This is what she says. And by the way, Mary Schweitzer is a Christian.
Right.
She's absolutely a Christian.
Yeah.
And she said that they're wrong on all counts with everything they say. They're misrepresenting her work. And she calls out the creationists for saying these things. Do you know how she was able to figure, even to look into any of this stuff? Because they found this T-Rex in Montana. And this is like a quick recap for what happened back. They found it back in 2000, by the way. The paper was published in 2005. Mm-hmm. And she went into Jack Horner's class at the University of Montana, by the way, and actually as a creationist, and said, I'm going to prove you wrong. I want to sit in through your classes. And he let her. And she was like, oops. Now she's a paleohistologist, and she's like, I still believe in God, but all this stuff's really old.
Yeah.
Quite obviously. The evidence bears that out. And she... They found this huge T-Rex femur. Well, they couldn't lift it out, so they actually had to cut it in half, right? And so she was able to, when they were doing it, she was able to get these samples from it. Mm-hmm. And you know what? Do you know what she saw in the samples? Medullary bone.
What is that exactly?
Medullary bone is the type of bone that birds create whenever they are going to lay eggs.
Yeah.
Only birds,
that,
by the way, create medullary bone. Crazy that you would find it in a T-Rex.
Yep.
Right, so this is obviously a pregnant female. That's one way we're able to figure out the sex of dinosaurs, because we obviously don't know.
Yeah.
As far as we can tell, they were not sexually dimorphic. And she was able to break this. She wanted to see the real cellular makeup of this, right? And I'm not going into any detail at all. She can. You can read her papers. Mary Schweitzer. And when she does this, puts it in some acids. Now, this is really, really not the kind of acid that you would think. We're not talking alien, okay? And it breaks it down over the course of a very long time. You're talking weeks and into months where it breaks this down. And then she's able to actually, it's not fresh, it's fossilized. There's no DNA, mm-hmm. right? And there's even people today that are they're saying we can't replicate this stuff. We can't, because it could have been contaminant mm-hmm. or something like that, where it's actually what's left over, which you didn't think you would ever see. Now it is still fossilized, it's permineralized, mm-hmm. so it's obviously not organic. And it's well, how did this survive for 65 million years? Well, as it turns out, the Morris, I'm not gonna remember that. I can see you tired. The platypus. The formation is a lot of iron, mm-hmm. and iron actually is able to protect
Yeah,
from
like
decay.
like in cases stuff, because we found when we were at Big Ben for the first time, you found like a big piece that was like encased in iron, basically.
Yeah.
And you were able to break apart and find stuff in it.
Yeah. As it turns out, iron protects things from decay.
Right.
Right. It protects things like red blood cells, which is what we're looking at here.
Right.
Right. Now, mind you, these are not red blood cells. These are the fossilized remains of red blood cells. That's important. He talks about osteocytes and things like that. Yeah. That's what we're talking about. It's very stretchy and stuff like that. It is definitely very dead. Long time ago. Can't create a dinosaur with it.
Right.
Right. There's no DNA.
Right.
And she wanted to test her theory on this. And so she did what every scientist does. She went and she actually got a ostrich, right? An ostrich that had died, and she got it as a specimen. And as it turns out, by the way, they have basically the exact same morphology. Imagine that. And she was able to take some of the ostrich stuff and coat it in iron and put it in water. And let it sit there for 2 weeks, right? And then also the other one, the other part of the specimen, which is like the exact same stuff, and put it in the water and look at them in 2 weeks. And one of them became like a sludge, the one that wasn't coated in iron. The other one, no change at all. This doesn't mean it could last 66, 68 million years,
But still.
but it goes to show that yes, this is possible.
Right.
Right. So the bullshit they try to do with this, this
soft tissue,
yeah,
blah,
this
blah,
soft
blah.
tissue
Yeah.
stuff doesn't mean that it's young. Not at all. In fact, we know that it's not.
Right.
And in fact, especially remember, water is what caused that sludge, right? Especially if it had died in a flood.
Right.
Impossible.
Right.
Yeah. In the type of flood that they're talking about, it would have been impossible. And this is why Mary Schweitzer has said over and over and over again that she is pissed off at these young earth creationists who continue to misrepresent her work. She's like, I don't even care to talk about how old the earth is. Right? And some people like get on her about that, like, why not? And she's like, it's not important.
Yeah.
We know how old it is. We know that it's not 6,000 years old.
Right.
We know that a flood didn't happen 4,000 years ago, at least a worldwide flood. I'm certain that there were certainly flood activities.
Yeah.
There still are today.
But nothing as to what was described in the Bible.
Yeah. And it's like they continue to try and use this bullshit. They're trying to use this and polystrate tree as if it were the case.
Right.
By the way, it is really awesome that we're able to, that you're talking about shredding this stuff down into millimeters and even smaller than that and examining it under microscopes to be able to find new things about dinosaurs
Right.
and other. This is great.
Yeah.
It continues to move us forward. It changes our thinking. Even though it's not been replicated the way that Tim Clarey says it has been, because it hasn't, Tim. Because she's facing a lot of scrutiny for that.
Yeah.
Like there are people that are thinking that it was contaminated, as I mentioned. But this is what he's trying to say with this is that, oh, this can't be that old because we wouldn't have this left over.
Right.
Even though we have shown that it's certainly it's possible. So let me finish. I'm going to finish him talking about the young Earth, the soft tissue bullshit.
Cool.
And then that'll be it for tonight because we're actually almost done with this video. So the next one that we do here
It'll be the
will be
last
like
little
Wednesday
bit.
night, be the last one.
Yeah.
Period. Over Tim Clarey here.
Cool.
Because physical chemists have shown that collagen, which is one of the more durable proteins, it makes up leather and our leather shoes and things. That's one of the more durable proteins. That can't even last more than a couple 100,000 years, less than 1 million years.
Yep.
And there's been more studies now. There's my colleague here at ICR, Brian Thomas, is working on a study showing that some of these proteins can't even last anywhere near that long. They're doing some new empirical studies showing the decay rates of these proteins. So when you look at these dinosaur bones, they tell you they're 68 million years old or 150 million years old. They're just telling you that based on.
Brian Thomas is not actually doing any of it by himself. He doesn't have access to any of the soft tissue.
Huh.
He doesn't have access to a laboratory.
Oh, jeez.
He's not doing it.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. So.
On their age dates, which are all based on assumptions, they can't be verified, but yet the fossils themselves are screaming young. They're showing these proteins, these cells, things that can't be that old. But you might say about Tim.
Okay.
But Tim, and that's
Original tissue evidence to fill a barrel. We'll get into that next time. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna get into that next time. That is enough for today. We hope that each of you has learned a valuable lesson today about, what's that it's always more complicated than these people make it seem.
Right.
The first, I actually did notice something, and I want to mention it real quick here. It is from it's from ICR's Twitter account today, right? Somebody quoted my tweet. Frustrated atheist, man. He is all over my Twitter today talking to somebody about firearm reform. But their Twitter account today, ICR's Twitter account, I'm going to locate it again here, right? It is right here. I was looking at it. This is great. This is from, this is their pinned tweet from the 22nd of September.
Oh, no.
And somebody replied 5 days ago and said something to them. But it says, people are indoctrinated with the notion that enormous periods of time are necessary to explain rock layers. However, empirical evidence demonstrates this is false. And so I went and read it. All right. And this is by Tim Clarey.
Oi.
All right. Rapid limestone deposits match flood account. This is in May 31st, 2018. I was reading his stuff, it's like, for example, clay, the most common sediment on Earth, blah, 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 blah. And then he went on and he said this. He said, a second finding has uniformitarian geologists scratching their heads. A groundbreaking paper shows that lime mud, known as micrite, is also deposited by moving water and not in a slow settling process. And he gives a link.
Is it his own paper?
No, it's not his, but there is. But one of the things referenced there is ICR.
Oh.
Yes. So I followed the link, as I am apt to do.
Yes.
Or as I am wont to do.
Yeah.
And I went and I found it and I read it, as I am apt to do. And it comes, by the way, it's not groundbreaking. It's in 2013. So
it's 6 years.
Yep. It comes from the Journal of Sedimentary Research, 2013. It's called Current Ripples. And it's for the Society for Sedimentary Geology. Now, when he gets into this is actually kind of great. Because, remember what he said? He said that it's caused by fast-moving water, right? Listen to this. I got to find it again. Here we are. Just as previously assumed for these muds, there's been long-standing notion that accumulation of abundant carbonate mud reflects basically calm conditions, right? The terminology they use is not one that I like to use. So these experiments demonstrate unequivocally that carbonate muds can also accumulate in energetic settings. So let's go back and read. A groundbreaking paper shows that lime mud is also deposited by moving water and not in a slow settling process.
But that paper says that it's either or.
It says it
That
can
it's both.
also be. Yes. So notice what they did there, right?
Yeah.
Now, most people, when they come to this and they're going to read this, it's, by the way, called Experimental Deposition of Carbonate Mud from Moving Suspensions, Importance of Fluctuation and Implications for Modern and Ancient Carbonate Mud Deposition, right? That's the name of the paper if you want to go read that, by the way. You follow the link and you can read that. And you can actually read where he said, where he quoted it, but incorrectly. Yeah. So there you go, Tim Clarey.
That's funny.
Way to do that there, Tim. And they're following 21 people. They haven't blocked me yet. That is actually now a
goal.
No, it's a goal of mine. Have you seen a concretion? hasty concretion formation. I'm guessing that's probably Tim Clarey. They got Bible verses here. This one, they talk about evolution and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But I thought that was really funny, by the way, that they went ahead and that was actually on the top of that was like their pinned tweet was about things that we're talking about. So yeah, good times. I don't think he means what empirical. Yeah, I don't think empirical means what he thinks it means. Yeah, correct. Exactly. So we are going to have our, was it penultimate? It'll be that's the one,
penultimate,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, penultimate. Thank you. Penultimate.
Well, isn't penultimate the one before the last one?
That was this one. Yes.
So then that's the ultimate.
Yeah, the ultimate. We're going to be the paramount.
Final countdown.
Now we're gonna get demonetized or something.
Sorry.
We're gonna get DMCA'd or something for people. That'll be on Wednesday night. So we are gonna do that Wednesday night. It's gonna be at 7:30 Central Time. Mm-hmm. So that's gonna be a good time. We actually are gonna have a lot of fun with that because it is gonna be the end of this, and we're gonna listen to the questions that come in.
Oh, that's gonna be fun.
Yes. Because there are about like I think there's about 15 minutes left in this video.
Yeah.
And because he goes through this again, he restates some things again, and it's gonna be a lot of fun to kind of go through this. And so we're looking forward to that. We're not doing anything I don't think this week, so you don't have to worry about that anything like that. So it should be back to our regular schedule. We are considering a few changes to the show format and stuff like that. And we also want to make sure that we bring more people back onto the show as our guests and stuff. So if you would like to come on to the show, just send us a DM either on Twitter or you can send us on Facebook and stuff like that. Make sure you like us there as well. All of our links and stuff are in the description below here. And or if you know somebody that you would like to bring on,
yes, we'd
love to have them. I know that we're going to get Arn Raw on here at some point. Andrew Seidel, I think we're going to try to get on here as well. I believe he said yes to that. He's talking to you. So that'll be fun. When he gets on here, we're obviously going to talk about his book and stuff, which I think is still sitting right there.
It is.
I haven't had the opportunity to read it recently. And of course, it is the 29th of September, which means that in so many days, less than 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I'm going to be up in Claremore, Oklahoma.
Yep.
Debating my good buddy Dean Meadows on whether or not Jesus rose from the dead. Spoiler alert, no. So that'll be up in Claremore, Oklahoma at Rogers State University. Don't know how we're going to, if we're going to live stream that or how we're actually going to record it and everything. But so, to ask the hard questions. They tell me to come to this church to ask the hard questions. Well, Shasta, I don't know. I tell you what, send us a message and send us what they actually said and stuff like that, and can certainly reply and give you some maybe some. I don't know how much good guidance there'll be, but
yeah.
You got anything?
No.
All right.
No. Whole lot of nothing.
Whole lot of nothing. She's tired.
I'm very tired. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. I appreciate you mentioning going through the dinosaur names. I didn't tell her that was going to happen. So.
That was entertaining, though.
Yeah, it was. You did a good job.
Hearing me mispronounce things is always fun.
I really thought that you were having difficulty with Tyrannosaurus.
No.
Not even joking.
No.
So yeah, you got me on that one. I believe there is spaghetti and corgis calling my name.
Yes. Both of those things.
All right. You guys are all awesome. We'll see you Wednesday night at 7:30 p.m. Central Time. And I'm gonna do this. No, I'm not. I'm gonna do this. You get out of here. There we go. All right. We'll talk to you guys. On Sunday night, 7:30 p.m. Central Time.
Wednesday.
And say again.
I
said Sunday. Yep. That
we're
too.
Going to be doing
Wednesday. I don't know. The 2nd of October.
Yes.
Bye, everybody.